So there is some sort of a global phenomenon where the whether it was because of inflation, because of the economic policies to deal with COVID, or just how the governments dealt with COVID, seems to have had this effect that's global, not just the U.S., but like a very broad decrease in trust, at least in that set of incumbents, and maybe in sort of these democratic institutions overall. So I think that what you're saying of, how do people get their information now? It's by sharing it online on social media. I think that that's just increasingly true. And my view at this point is like, all right, like we started off focused on free expression. We kind of had this pressure tested over the last period. I feel like I just have a much greater command now of what I think the policies should be. And like, this is how it's going to be going forward. And so I mean, at this point, I think a lot of people look at this as like a purely political thing. It's because they kind of look at the timing and they're like, hey, well, you're doing this right after the election. It's like, okay, I try not to like change our content rules like right in the middle of an election either, right? It's like there's not like a great time to do this. It's
right. And you want to do it a year later.
Yeah, it's like there's no good time to do it. There's,
right.
And whatever time is going on, there's going to be, so. The good thing about doing it after the election is you get to take this kind of cultural pulse as like, okay, where are people right now, and how are people thinking about it? We try to have policies that reflect, mainstream discourse. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. I think that this is going to be pretty durable because at this point we've just been pressure tested on this stuff for like the last 8 to 10 years with like these huge institutions just pressuring us, and I feel like this is kind of the right place to be going forward.
What was it like when they were attacking you? Like, first of all, what was the premise? Like, what were they saying was your offense? Was it that you were allowing information that was not true, that was getting out there? I know there was also, they're saying that you guys were allowing hate groups to speak. There was a lot of this.
Yeah. I mean, the tough thing with politics is that there's like, well, when you say someone's coming after you, are you referring to kind of the government and investigations and all that? I mean, so the issue is that there's what specific thing an agency might be looking into you for, and then there's like the underlying political motivation, which is like, why do the people who are running this thing hate you? And I think that those can often be two very different things. So, and we had organizations that were looking into us that were like not really involved with social media, like I think like the CFPB, like this financial. I don't even know what it stands for. It's the financial organization that Elizabeth Warren had set up.
Oh, great!
And it's basically it's like we're not a bank.
The debanking section.
Yeah, no. So like we're not a bank, right? It's like what does Meta have to do with this? But they kind of found some theory that they wanted to investigate, and it's like, okay, clearly they were trying really hard, right, to find some theory, but it like, I don't know, it kind of like throughout the party and the government, there was just sort of, I don't know how this stuff works. I mean, I've never been in government. I don't know if it's like a directive or it's just like a quiet consensus that like, we don't like these guys, they're not doing what we want, we're going to punish them. But it's tough to be at the other end of that.
What was it like?
Well, it's not good. I think. Well, the thing that I think is actually the toughest, though, is it's global, right? So, and really, when you think about it, the U.S. government should be defending its companies, right? Not be the tip of the spear attacking its companies. So when we talk about a lot. Okay, what is the experience of? Okay, if the U.S. government comes after you, I think the real issue is that when the U.S. government does that to its tech industry, it's basically just open season around the rest of the world. Right? I mean, the EU, I pulled these numbers. The EU has fined the tech companies more than $30 billion over the last, I think it was like 10 or 20 years.
Holy shit.
So when you think about it, like, okay, it's like, $100 million here, a couple $1 billion there.